When I first came to America as a graduate student from the Philippines, there were roughly 100,000 international students. Today, there are over 1 million from 200 countries, with India and China on top of the list. North Carolina has 26,000 international students, mostly enrolled at Duke, NC State, UNC Charlotte, and UNC Chapel Hill. God has brought the world to us. What an incredible opportunity to live sent among them. Reaching the international students among us has been referred to as the low-hanging fruit of missions. Consider Mika from Japan, where only roughly 0.6% of the population are Christians. Roughly, that's translated 780,000 of them. It's listed as one of the unreached countries of the world. She attended the English Language Institute at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia. To further improve her English, she attended our English conversation classes and our monthly dinners, where she met many Christians. She felt welcomed, accepted, and loved in those meetings, but especially by Maureen, our volunteer. Mika felt safe to share her doubts and questions with her, and Maureen patiently and lovingly shared the gospel with her. Over time, she became a Christian. She was baptized and returned home, and guess what? She initially became the English translator of the Japanese translator of the English sermons given by the American pastor. An international student from India occasionally attended a Bible study nearby at University UNC Charlotte. But he accepted an invitation to a getaway weekend to a historic church in Fort Mott, South Carolina, where he experienced warm hospitality, Southern food, time to be outdoors, and an unforgettable overnight stay with an American family and a meaningful church service. He returned on campus refreshed and impressed by the Christians. He was more intentional about being in a Christian fellowship and even went to church that Easter and was given a book, The Case for Easter, by our guest, Lee Strobel. Not at that time. After reading it, he decided to receive Christ in his life. Wei Wei is originally from Myanmar, formerly Burma. Burma is a predominantly Buddhist country. She was a pharmacy student at the University of Montana in Missoula and attended a Bible study there. Although she knew about Jesus, she wasn't sure about him being her Savior. Shortly before midnight, late December 2009, while attending Urbana, a student mission conference, she showed up at the room designated as a place to hang out and for international students to ask their questions. My staff and I patiently listened and answered her questions. She received Christ that evening. Even I was surprised. I said, wow, this is quick. She left the room rejoicing. She returned to her campus and started leading Bible studies herself. 3 years later, at the same conference, mission conference, by midnight, there was a knock on the door. Is this the place where you ask questions? Yes, come on in. And she was a Chinese student. She said she was sent by her friend, Wei Wei, from Myanmar. She too received Christ. It looks like it is a very, very low-hanging fruit of missions, right? But not everyone becomes a Christian in such a short period of time, nor are they exempt from doubts and confusion in times as they go and follow Jesus. Many times it takes years of patience, unconditional love, and faithful prayer and watering of the gospel seeds in their hearts. A Muslim student once said that he was drawn to Christians because of a delicious zucchini bread given by a Christian neighbor. But it took 21 years before he was ready to receive Jesus in his life. Two brave, newly arrived PhD students from China showed up behind us at our church in Madison, Wisconsin. When we asked them how they got to our church, they simply replied, "We took the bus." Well, our church sends a bus there to collect students from the University of Wisconsin, 15 minutes away. No one personally invited them. It was their first time to a Christian church, and they knew no other Christian. Not only are they in our country, not only are they in our state, not only are they on our campuses, but they are there in our church voluntarily. We invited them to watch the Super Bowl the next Sunday. Now, try explaining the Super Bowl to a new Chinese student who thought a player with long hair was a woman, who did not know that when the game was over. One of them asked, "Is this the time to hug?" Yes! Green Bay Packers won! And we had this awkward hug. But we had fun. We shared numerous after-church lunches since when we were explaining confusing American idioms and portions of the gospel from the sermon. They invited other Chinese friends at church as well, and they loved those repeated songs that sometimes I feel like, are we going to sing it again and again? But they love those songs. The seeds of the gospel were being sown in various ways. Now, Leighton and myself have two additional sons. One is a professor at the university, and one is an economist in New York. They know that our friendship with them is not conditional to their believing and accepting Jesus in their lives. We have continued to pray, communicate, and visit with them for the past 15 years. That's a long time. I feel bad because I feel like I converted them to the Super Bowl more than I converted them. God converted them to Christ. But that is the path of friendship cross-culturally. I have more stories, but I will conclude with this one. My parents came to the US in the late 70s as retired tailors, and I think I have a picture of them, if it can be shown, to be near 6 of their 7 children in North America. They became followers of Jesus through the faithful witness of Filipinos back home. They showed me how to live sent. They lived with my older sister and me in Fairfax, Virginia, where they were exposed to people from many parts of the world. My sister would often invite international students over dinner and other special holidays. One day, my father, who was in his 70s, pulled me aside to confess that he was having a hard time relating to one group of international students. He said that whenever he saw them or was around Black people, his blood boiled. Although they were not doing anything bad to him, his blood still boiled. I replied to my father, I said, I understand. Just give yourself time to get to know them. It will get better. And God had mercy on my father with his Asian prejudiced heart. He gave my father the time he needed. I believe it happened when this student walked into my sister's home and saw my father. He went straight to him, hugged him, and lifted him up. He was probably reminded of his own grandfather back home, caught in the strong arms of a Black man, enveloped by this man's love and welcome, my father's heart melted. He was Marcus Samondo from Angola, Africa, a student sent by his government to study at American University in Washington, D.C. My father and Marcus bonded together like a father and a son. They went to professional wrestling match despite being warned that some of those are fake moves. When his scholarship money ran out because of political turmoil in Angola, my father approached neighbors who might help by giving him a job mowing their lawns. And I'm sure he gave them money too from his own pocket. Marcus went on to grad school and later became the Angolan ambassador to the United Nations. You can just imagine how proud and elated my parents were. My dad would walk around and say, "My son is an ambassador." My father passed away in June 2002 in Fairfax, Virginia. He was 92 years old. As we waited for the funeral service to start, I heard some noise in the back. Marcus had just walked in. He was no longer ambassador and had taken the bus from New York City to come to my dad's funeral. Instead of just sitting in the back, as expected of latecomers, he kept walking in the aisle until he reached the row where my mom and I sat. He walked straight towards us and parted the space between my mom and me and took his seat, his rightful place in the family, next to my mother, to grieve and celebrate the life of my father, his father, the man whose blood once boiled at the sight of a Black man. Loving international students does not only change them, it transforms us. The harvest is plentiful, Jesus says, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. And let us, with resounding response, say, "Here we are, send us."